Hello, grade 12s. Welcome to yet another lesson. So in today's video, we're going to be working with a past preparatory examination paper from Gauteng 2023, and we're going to be looking specifically at question 2.1, and this is how it goes. Johnson is a physiotherapist. He was contacted by the South African Rugby Union to give the 7 rugby players a massage during the rugby tournament that was held in Cape Town during December 2022. Johnson hires 13 masseuses to perform this duty, and there, if you look, we have been given a table that shows the number of sessions per day, number of masseuses, and also the income in rand that is being made from these sessions, these massages. So if you look there, we also have a piece of information there that gives us a hint that says a masseuse is a person who provides a professional massage. So now that we have the scenario, we can go to the first question. So the first question, 2.1.1, says, show by means of calculations that the income for a single massage is 135 rands. So this statement says that a massage is 135 rands, and we have to prove if that is correct or not, or rather we just have to show that indeed a massage costs 135 rands. So there are many ways of determining this answer, or rather many ways of answering this question, and I'm going to show you shortly what I mean by that. So since we want to know how much each massage costs, we're going to take the income and divide it by the number of masseuses. And by doing that, we're basically taking the income and dividing it by the number of massages provided or performed on that day. So we can start with the first one where they only had 1 session per day and say that the income, which is 1,775 rands, and divided by the number of masseuses that day, or rather the number of massages that were performed that day, which is 13 according to the table. So 1,755 divided by 13, and that gives us, let's see, 1,755 divided by 13, that gives us 135 rands, which actually does prove that each massage costs 135 rands. So now let me show you what I meant earlier on when I said there are many ways of getting to this answer. So we used the day where they had only 1 session, right? So we can use any other day. We can use the day where they had 2 sessions, or we can use the day where they had 4 sessions. Let's use that instead. So the total income for that particular day was 7,020 rands, right? So 7,020 rands. And how many masseuses did they have that day, or rather how many massages were performed that day? And 52 masseuses or massages, right? So we divide by 52, and when we click that on the calculator, let's see if it's also going to give us 135 or it's going to give us a totally different number. So it's 7,020 divided by 52, and that also gives us 135 rands. So this is what I meant when I said that with these kind of questions, there are many ways of getting to the answer, or there are different ways of getting to the answer. And that is how we should answer the first question. And now we shall go to the next one, which is question 2.1.2. And the question says, calculate the values A and B. So here we've been asked to calculate the value of A, which is the number of masseuses needed if 8 sessions were had in that day. And for B, we are calculating the income in rands that was made in a day where they had 3 sessions and a total of 39 masseuses. So we're going to start with A, the value of A. So the value of A, how are we going to get to it? So we could remember we're calculating the number of masseuses that were needed for that day, right? And according to the first one, where they only have 1 session, so we're going to use that as our reference. So the first one says that they only had 1 session per day and they had 13 masseuses. So that basically tells us that each session has 13 masseuses. As you can see, 2 sessions have a total of 26 resources, which is basically double of 1 session. So this means that each session has a total of 13 resources. So in this particular day, we had 8 sessions, right? So you're going to say 8 sessions multiplied by 13 resources, which is the number of resources per each session. So 13 multiplied by 8 sessions, right? So that gives us a total of 8 multiplied by 13, 8 multiplied by 13, 104. So that means that on this day, there were a total of 104 masseuses, or rather 104 massages were performed in that particular day, right? So we're done with the value of A, and now we get to the value of B, where we're calculating the total income in rands for the day where there were 3 sessions and 39 massages were performed. So here we're just going to say what cost per massage, which is 135 rand, 135 rand multiplied by how many massages, or rather how many resources. So for that day we had 39 resources, or rather 39 massages were performed. So 135 multiplied by 39, let's see how much that gives us. 39, it gives us a total of 5,265. So this is the amount of money that was made, or rather this is the total income for that day where they had 39 resources, because each massage costs 135 rands. So now we're going to the next question, question 2.1.3. So question 2.1.3 says, complete the following formula to calculate the total income per session. Income equals to multiplied by So they want us to come up with a formula to calculate the total income per session. So what we've been given income equals to. So how do we determine the amount of money that was made for a particular day? So we're going to say income equals to cost per massage. Income equals to cost per massage multiplied by let me just divide this into 2, multiplied by number of massages, or rather number of masseuses. No, actually number of massages. So this is the formula that you can use to get the income that was made in a particular day. You just say cost per massage multiplied by the number of massages, and that is the formula. It's completed like that. And we're going to go to the next question, 2.1.4. So question 2.1.4 says, prove that the total income for the weekend, if they start working on Friday and finish on Sunday, is 78,975 rands. There are 15 sessions per day. So in this question, they want us to prove that the total income that Johnson is going to make for that weekend is 78,975 rands, and they're going to be working for the whole weekend, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is basically 3 days. Okay, so we're calculating the income. I'm just going to write it here, 2.1.4. So we're calculating, we are proving that indeed he is going to make this amount of money. Okay, so first thing first, we're going to start by Okay, and so for question 2.1.4, first thing first, we're going to say 15 sessions, 15 sessions and multiply by the number of masseuses needed for each session. And we know that for each session we need a total of 13 masseuses. So now we're just calculating the number of masseuses that he's going to need for the whole weekend, for the whole 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we say 15 sessions, which we've been told that he's going to have 15 sessions. We say 15 sessions multiplied by what? Multiplied by 13 masseuses, okay? So 15 multiplied by 13, that gives us a total of 195 masseuses for 15 sessions, okay? So he is going to have 15 sessions for 3 days. So it's 15 sessions each day. So now we're going to say 195 masseuses multiplied by 3 days. So by 3 days, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is 3 days, okay? So now we're going to say 195 masseuses per day multiplied by 3 days. So it's 195 multiplied by 3 days, and that gives us a total of 585 masseuses for the weekend, or for the whole weekend. 585 massages are going to be performed, okay? So now we have the total number of masseuses that he's going to need for the whole weekend. Now we have to calculate the total amount of money that he is going to make from all these massages that are going to be performed for the whole weekend. So we're going to say 585 masseuses, and they charge 150 rand for each massage. So we're going to say 585 multiplied by 100 and how much was it? 135 rands, which is the cost for each massage. 135 rands, and let's see how much that makes. So 585 multiplied by 135. So that is a total of 78,970. So this is the total amount of money that he is going to make, or rather this is the total income that Johnson is going to make for that weekend, for the 3 days, for all the massages that are going to be performed. So you are not done answering the question, because remember we were proving that he was going to make this amount of money, and indeed he is going to make this amount of money. So now you have to come up with a conclusion to your answer. So we're going to say the statement is correct, and it is indeed correct, because they did say that he's going to make this amount, and according to our calculations he is indeed going to make that amount. So let me tell you something with questions where you have to put a conclusion. So every time where you have to prove something, to prove that something is correct or not, it doesn't matter whether you've been instructed to include a conclusion or not. Please, every time, always include conclusion, whether you need it or not, because it might give you some marks. Either way, you have nothing to lose. If you put too much information, you're still going to get the maximum amount of marks. But if you do not include your conclusion where you had to, you're not going to get the whole marks. So please, always remember to do what? To put your conclusions every time where you have to prove that something is either correct or not. So now getting to the last question, 2.1.5, which says, Johnson pays each masseuse 1,000 rands for the weekend and 50 rands per massage. He needs to rent a room at Cape Town Stadium to perform these massages, which costs 4,800 rands per day. Calculate his total expenses and express the total income to total expenses as a ratio in unit form. So in this question, we've been told that for the whole weekend, Johnson intends to pay each masseuse 1,000 rands and then an additional 50 rand for each massage they perform. And then he also has to rent a room at the Cape Town Stadium, which costs 4,800 rands per day. And remember, he's going to be there for the whole weekend, which is 3 days, right? and he pays 4,800 per day. And then the question asks us to calculate his total expenses. And then after getting his total expenses, we should express the total income to total expenses in a form of a ratio in a unit form. So let's break down the question. So we're going to start first thing first. He pays each masseuse how much? 1,000 rands. So we're going to say 1,000 rands, which is the amount of money that each masseuse is going to get for the whole weekend. How many masseuses do we have? We have 13 masseuses in total. So 1,000 rands for 13 masseuses is 13,000. Right? So it's 13,000. So this is just the amount of money that he's going to pay them for the whole weekend. And now we're still going to calculate the amount of money that he has to pay for each massage that they perform for the whole weekend. So now we know that he's going to pay them 13,000, all in total for 13 masseuses, right? And in the previous questions, we have discovered that there are a total number of 585 masseuses, or rather 585 massages are going to be performed in that weekend. So we're going to say 585 masseuses or massages multiplied by the additional 50 rand that each masseuse is gonna get. So multiply by 50 rands. So let's see how much that is. So we're going to say 585 masseuses multiplied by 50 rands per massage. And it's a total of 29,250 rands. So this is the amount that he's going to pay for each massage that they perform. And this is the amount that he's going to pay them whether they perform any massages or not. This is the amount that he has to pay, and this is the amount that he has to pay for additional massages. So now we're going to do what? We're going to add these amounts together and say 13,000 plus 29,250 rands, and that makes a total of, click it on the calculator, 13,000 plus 29,250. It makes a total of 42,250. So this is the amount of money that he's going to spend on the masseuses, on only just paying the masseuses, right? And remember, they're going to be there for how many days? For 3 days. So now let's calculate the money that he has to pay for rent, okay? I don't have space, so I'll just use the space over here. So we're going to say he pays how much per day for rent? He pays 4,800 rands. So we're going to say 4,800 rands, which is the amount he pays per day, multiplied by 3 days. Remember, they're going to be there for the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hence, I say 3 days. And then that means that for rent, he's going to have to pay 4,800 multiplied by 3 days. He's going to have to pay 14,400 rands. Okay, so these two amounts are his expenses. So he's going to pay his workers for 42,250, and then he's also going to spend 14,400 on rent. So now we're going to add these two amounts together and say, forgive me, I don't have space. We're going to say 42,250 plus 14,400. Sorry about that, it's 14,400. Okay, so we add these two amounts together and say 42,250 plus 14,400. 42,250 plus 14,400, and that will give us a total amount of 5,000. Sorry, it's going to give us a total amount of 56,650 rands. So this is the amount of money that he is going to spend on that particular weekend. This is his expenses. So remember that the question was saying, sorry about that. The question was saying that calculate his total expenses, which we just did. we got 56,650 as his expenses. And now what's left of us to do is to express the total income to total expenses in a form of expenses in a form of a ratio. So now we do know how much money he is going to do it. He is going to, remember these are expenses. We do know his income. We calculated his income in the previous questions, and the income was how much? 78,975 rand. So here is how you are going to write your answer now, okay? I'm so sorry about this, guys. I don't have space. I should have used this part here, but that's fine. So we're going to say the answer is, so they're saying that we should express it in a form of total income to total expenses, meaning that it's income first and then expenses after. So the income is 78. Oh, and also they ask us to write it in a unit form. So it's not necessary for you to include the R's. Actually, it's compulsory for you not to include the R's, because if you do, then your answer will not be in a unit form and therefore it won't be correct. So you're just going to say 78,975 rands. Remember then, that is our what? Our income, or his income, the total income that he made for that weekend. So it's 78,975 rands is to total expenses, which we just calculated now, which was 56,650 rands, and this is our final answer. And just like that, you get your 6 marks. So for this question in particular, the tips that I'll share with you guys is that pay attention to the little information in the table. Read your question twice or 3 times if you have to, and make sure that before you even attempt to answer your question, you understand what's required of you to do. So this is how you guys were supposed to work with this question, or rather this is how you should work with these kind of questions should you encounter them in either your prelim paper or rather your final paper. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was helpful. See you in the next one. May goodness and grace lead you to the great heights of success.